Let's talk about what the end of DEI teaches us about performative activism and real change. In 2020, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, became a buzzword. After the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many more, corporations and institutions rushed to release statements, pledge donations, and promise change. They told us they were listening. They told us they cared. But here we are a few years later watching those same institutions backtrack on every commitment they made. And honestly, I'm not surprised. Because from the start, DEI felt off. Not because I don't believe in diversity or equity, those are necessary, but because the way those companies handled it was never about us. It was about optics, about profit, about calming the storm just enough to keep things business as usual. This isn't new. This is what white power structures have been doing for over 400 years. They offer just enough to make it look like progress, but never enough to disrupt the systems that keep us oppressed. We saw it with the abolition of slavery, only for it to be replaced with convict leasing and prison labor. We saw it with the Civil Rights Act, laws that gave us rights on paper, but not the protection or reparations we needed. And we saw it with DEI, hiring a few more Black people, putting a couple of us in an ad, and maybe throwing some money at a nonprofit. But did any of it shift power? Did it change who owns wealth? Did it dismantle the systems that harm us? No, and that's why it was never built to last. So what do we do with this? We learn. We pay attention and we stop falling for the same tricks. Because the truth is, a lot of us got caught up in the illusion of progress. We saw white people reading anti-racism books and thought that meant change. We saw Black squares on Instagram and thought that meant solidarity. We saw companies making statements and thought that meant action. But now we know better. Statements don't mean action. Hiring doesn't mean power. Donations don't mean redistribution. If we really want change, we have to be the ones to build it. We have to move beyond mainstream DEI and into real systemic action. That means creating and supporting Black-led efforts that don't just diversify white spaces, but that build our own. That means protecting our own communities and learning from history so we don't keep repeating these cycles. Because white-led racial justice will always have an expiration date, but our liberation, that's on us. So let's talk. What lessons have you learned from the rise and fall of DEI? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're ready to build something, let's get to work.